He works hard, the boy, running the channels, happy to do that. And we're talking about an England World Cup squad next year. Who is that next cab off the rank that's going to challenge Harry Kane? And I think he probably will feel, I've got a chance here.
I would almost go and get two, and he would be one of them.
I'd be absolutely fuming if he was my teammate. That is not good enough. Fine, we'll draw a line under it. No more, please. He's come on leaps and bounds, and I just wonder whether Gusto might well be the one, eventually, that slips down.
I'm sure Stamford Bridge will always be packed now on those Wednesday.
Don't
say Thursday. I'm still...
Matisse, let's not hear Thursday
I'm
again,
traumatised.
please.
Hello and welcome to Inside Chelsea, the show for Chelsea fans by Chelsea fans. I'm Leonie Carpenter and I'm joined by former Chelsea defender Jason Cundy, and we've got Matisse as well. We are back, guys. We are back for a one-off special. Of course, the Club World Cup is going on at the moment. We are through to the round of 16. Can we get a whoop?
Yeah, and so we should really. In all honesty, you know that defeat that we suffered was a pretty. Chastening defeat. I thought it was a poor performance from us. But yes, look, we had to get through, and finishing second actually might work out okay for us.
Yeah. Can we get a whoop from you?
Go.
It is a whoop. It is a whoop because we're not playing Bayern Munich, like
there
you said.
Go.
You know, we finished second, and we actually got a more favourable draw. We got good memories of Benfica, obviously in the Europa League final under Rafa, I believe, and then also the Champions League running as well. So. Yeah, I'm looking forward to just being in the rest of the tournament. Obviously, we'll see if it takes toll on players in Premier League when that starts and the fitness levels. But no, it is a fun tournament.
Yeah. We've also got a load of transfer stories to talk about as well, but we'll do that later on. I've got to ask you guys, though, are you enjoying the Club World Cup?
Depends on the kickoff time, doesn't it?
Did you do the 2 a.m?
Yeah, I did. And I was getting a bit tired in the second half. But, you know, the international fans have to part with it when we're playing Prem, so it's fine. No, I am enjoying it because I think there's a nice variation of kind of like new teams that we don't really ever get to see from different continents, different systems, different tactics, styles. We even had, you know, different fans from Brazil kind of going up against us and showing how much they care about the tournament. So it's something different. You never get to see Chelsea play these teams, and they're competitive. I think people are maybe, their eyes are opened a little bit to how good the standard of football is elsewhere outside of European teams. And there's been some big kind of shocking results in terms of the PSG defeat as well to Botafogo. So yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. DJs?
Yeah, the same. I mean, I've concentrated mainly on Chelsea. I haven't watched as many games of the other teams as if it was a World Cup. I'll be across all nations. But yeah, I think it starts now, though, doesn't it? I mean, it does feel a little bit like get rid of the chaff, move on. And once you get into this knockout stage, that's where I always feel in the Champions League. Once you get out of the group stage, the tournament really starts at the last 16 moving forward. And we've got a great chance, you know. I'm not taking Benfica lightly, but if you had to put two sides down on paper, who would be favourable? Yeah. Well, we've got a chance here, Leonie, got a real chance.
No, absolutely, we'll take it, won't we? And financially as well, 36.5 million from getting to the last 16. So how does that serve the club, do you feel?
It's big, I think, because we have had some kind of doubts about financially where we sit in the last couple of years, and I think everybody's benefited massively from the amount of money in this tournament. And obviously there's still sponsorship deals to be agreed for the Champions League coming up this season. There's going to be extra revenue. I'm sure Stamford Bridge will always be packed now on those Wednesday.
Don't say Thursday.
I'm still...
Matisse, let's not hear Thursday again, please.
I am traumatised.
Yeah, I can tell.
I am traumatised. Tuesday and Wednesday nights, that is what we need. Second legs, they'll be packed. So, yeah, no, I'm just looking forward to us dining at the top table again.
Indeed, yeah. No Thursdays.
There you go. So a player with that 36.5 million is basically Liam Delap. We've paid for him already. Yeah. Thoughts on him?
Look, I like what I saw when he was at Ipswich. He played and done ever so well in a struggling side. His goal record will tell you that 12, I think, he got in the Premier League. He's someone that we've kind of missed, I feel. That physical presence up top. I think since Diego Costa, we probably haven't really had that type of number 9 that can physically impose himself on the game. He loves that side of the game as well. You can see that he revels in that. The goals show exactly what he's got, feeling the defend. I mean, terrible defending from the fullback, but allowed him to come inside, but used his body really well. And he works hard, you know. It's a real coup getting him. And I'm so glad he got his goal as early as he did, because sometimes strikers can come in, and we've all seen it at various different clubs. That first goal, get that monkey off your back. Now all of a sudden he's got his first goal. Crack on.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me as well, it's the shooting. You can see the shooting technique is just a bit further on than Jackson, of course, and when he releases it, he hits it with a lot of power. He has got that kind of like Diego Costa feel about him where, like you said, he likes to be physical with the defenders. I just hope we toe that line very carefully, because as we're going to get onto you later, you can get booked and there can be VAR checks and whatnot, so we have to be a bit careful. But I think the team always needed a bit more physicality in that position as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him next season in the Prem for sure.
Does he feel like a Chelsea striker, having watched him now?
Yeah, he does. I mean, we've had so many big names. We've had Morata, who's a lot more lightweight in that regard. Obviously, mentally to play for Chelsea is a big ask as well, especially wearing the number 9, which he's just taken, and he has no issue with it. Every quote I see from him, he says it doesn't matter the number, is regardless to his performance he's going to put in. So he seems like a confident lad, and he's obviously come from City. There's that link there with Joe Shields and Maresca, so the Cole Palmer kind of connection we saw in some of the games, and yeah, I think he's got a nice mix between the technical side, which we're expecting, the hold-up play, which maybe at Ipswich he didn't get to do as much, more used as a battering ram, but also the physicality to stretch defences and get those shots off. So if he can just be better aerially, I think then Jackson, that would be a massive help as well to any crosses coming in.
And also, the work rate, that's something that I noticed at Ipswich. He works hard, the boy, running the channels, happy to do that. And his relationship with Palmer, obviously the boys grew up together. The assist he got for Enzo's goal, that running into those areas, taking defenders where they don't really want to be, but he comes short to go long. I like that, takes defenders away and comes to feet. There's a lot to like about it, and there's still a lot to improve, right? And we're talking about an England World Cup squad next year. Who is that next cab off the rank that's going to challenge Harry Kane? And I think he probably will feel, I've got a chance here. So, good luck to him and, continue his goal.
I know a lot of Ipswich fans that are absolutely gutted he's gone. But it's all for the greater good, I reckon. Do you think, Matisse mentioned it, Jace, do you think he will pose that aerial threat?
He's got the physicality. I think that I don't think Jackson's particularly great in the air at all. Whether it be challenging for headers or whether it be challenging a shot on goal. I think that he will have that ability to go and attack balls and get balls in the box. A lot of goals he scored at Ipswich last season, he made for himself. Running from deep, picking the ball up, almost grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck. This will be slightly different for him. I'm hoping when the ball goes out in those wide areas, we can deliver it. I feel we're a little bit shy in that area. Putting balls in the box. There was a cross that came in off the left-hand side. Jadon Sancho put it in against Newcastle before Jackson got sent off. And he was a little bit on his heels. They do arrive, and you need him to gamble. Go in that 6-yard box and go and attack the ball. I don't see the reason why he can't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we've mentioned that link up with Palmer as well. Do you think that he has the football brain to make those connections effectively each game? Yeah,
I mean, he has to, because when you come through at Man City, the way that they play, the way that they coach, very similar. Our academy's got a massive reputation as well. You're trained at the highest level to try and integrate into their first team. Obviously, it hasn't worked out there. But for me, I feel like you said, gambling, because when we have the ball out wide, there's so many times where the ball has come in, whether it was even Cole Palmer in one of the games as well, or cutbacks, and no one's there, or they don't have the awareness to get there in time, and then it's just like we almost had an opportunity on goal. If he can turn those almost into absolutes and actually be on the end, then he's going to get a lot more goals as well. And he's going to get the ugly goals, I think, as well. So many times we talk about we want lovely strikes, curlers into the far corner. I can see him just being in the right place, right time, and it will just be on the end of things. The
relationship, this is where the training ground comes in. It's about putting balls into those areas. And I do feel, as I said, I think we can be a little bit shy in putting the ball in at times. If he knows the ball's coming, he'll make the runs. And that relationship needs to be built on the training ground and in these games. We've got 2 pre-season friendlies as well. And I'm encouraged by what I've seen so far.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't
it? Enzo Fernandez as well. He had a lot of, passes he was playing in behind last season or assists that weren't really given to him because of, for whatever reason, the chances weren't falling to Jackson or Gu's quite young. So we just need people to develop those chemistries and relationships and be on the end of these things. Yeah.
I think from the off, though, it feels like he's settled in really quickly, doesn't he? And everyone seems to be getting on really well on the pitch and off the pitch as well. So that's really pleasing to see.
It's a lovely squad to go and join. They're all of a similar age. Yeah. It's rare you get a squad that is so condensed into one kind of age bracket. Normally you have experienced pros that could be 33, 34, ranging right down to the young kids, 18, coming out the youth team. But it does feel as though there's quite a camaraderie there. And it must be a great feeling coming to join a club that are of similar age, similar mindset as you. So I don't see any problems in certainly.
Yeah. Well, someone who is, let's say, struggling at the moment is our Nicholas Jackson. Of course, got another red card against Flamengo. We saw him get the red card against Newcastle in the league. Do you think the arrival of Delap has maybe frustrated him?
I don't think so. I think he was capable of this previously. We saw it against Newcastle. I feel like with Jackson, he can do some very intelligent things on the pitch at times. We saw it with the assist in the first game where he kind of, drops deep, holds up the ball, spins, lays off a fantastically, perfectly weighted pass. But then he can do some very silly things. And this is one of those times where even when I was watching it on the replay, his studs are so high up and there's just no need for it. It's the same with challenging with the elbow when you're not going to win the header, no need for it. I just feel like with Jackson that he wasn't really put under severe pressure last season because every other option was either an Nkunku who plays out of position or a Gu who's probably too young to take the shirt. And now he's got that competition. But the key is with Jackson is, are you going to improve your shooting? Are you going to improve your box movement? Are you going to improve aerially? Because if you don't improve these things, it doesn't matter if it's Delap or if it's someone else at Chelsea sign, you're going to be, in the firing line anyway. You're going to be replaced. So I think he could end up staying, but I've always felt with Jackson, it depends what you're building around him. He feels like more of a facilitator and a false nine and someone that will drop deep than someone that you kind of hang your hat on for the goals. And if Chelsea had more goals in wide areas, I think his position in the team would make more sense.
Yeah. What did you make of that red card, Jace?
It's a very odd tackle. It's not the sort of tackle you see a footballer make. It's not even a tackle. It was studs up. I mean, going down the front of the shins. He said afterwards, I thought it was a genuine apology. The way he came out and said, I don't know how it happened. I'm very sorry. I did feel for him on a human level about that. But he does have a discipline problem. This is not just 2 reds in 3 games. You go back previously about how many yellow cards he picks up for ill discipline. There was a period where he nearly got suspended, and he had not one yellow card was for challenge. I can't carry on. He's got, and there's an immaturity about that. You need to see change. Young players will make mistakes. Young squads will make mistakes. You've got to learn from them, Leonie. And that challenge, come on, okay, we'll cut you some slack now. That can't continue. I'm sorry. You cannot let your team down. The manager needs to know he can trust you. The players around you. I've been engaged where players have been sent off after 3 minutes. And you're on that pitch for 87 minutes without them, right? And I know what it's like, I've been there. You go in at half-time and you want to have a bright pop at him because of how he's let the team down. All right, it was 64, 68 minutes. He'd been on the pitch 4 minutes, Leonie.
It's, yeah.
Do that extra running as well.
Yeah, in that heat.
Yeah.
I'd be absolutely fuming if he was my teammate. Yeah. That is not good enough. Fine, we'll draw a line under it. No more, please. Yeah. No more red cards.
He's 24 years old as well. So he's not one of the youngest in the squad. He might actually be one of the oldest now. 24, you know what I mean, in our squad. So he's got to cut it out because I think Chelsea, they'll be still linked with forwards and they'll be looking at the situation thinking, OK, he's suspended for the Premier League. And really what it's done is it's messed up his chances of trying to start ahead of the lap because now he's suspended for...
Basically handed him an opportunity,
He's given him opportunities for fun.
There you go. He started ahead of me. I'll give you a red card. He was upgraded for a 2-match ban at the Club World Cup.
Yes.
He's missed the game against Palace.
Yeah.
I mean, Delap's sitting there thinking, well, he's going to start, right? Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah, silly boy.
Well, we know also he's been linked with a move away, so how would you guys feel about that?
I'm not sure he'll go. I mean, you never say never. I mean, I think if the price was right, I think the club would consider. Depends what the offer is. But then you need a replacement. We don't want to find ourselves in the same position we were last year. Matisse is absolutely right. Jackson was let down, I felt, by there not being enough competition for that area. Yeah. He knew, irrespective of how he played, he knew he was going to start again. I'm not saying that there was a complacency about his game, that you thought like that, but whatever happened, he was going to start at the weekend. Whatever happened. So I don't want to find ourselves in the same position where you've only got one number 9 that's going to start. No, we need 2, minimum 3.
Yeah. Especially in the season of Champions League. Yeah, you just cannot have that at all in your squad. I remember the days of having, Anelka, Drogba, you've still got options off the bench after that. Remy, Costa, it doesn't matter, Eto'o, Torres, Bar, you've got to have options. I think for Chelsea, with him, I don't think he'll leave, I agree with you. And I think the other players that we've been linked to would be Ekitike at Frankfurt. The price is really still high. There doesn't really feel like an appetite to get an Osimhen or Gyökeres because the wages or the transfer fee. So I don't really sense that Chelsea are looking in that area. It feels more like they're looking at the left wing, which is really vital because of obviously what's gone on around that position. And even another player to kind of supplement and give an opportunity for Palmer to kind of either play with or rotate with if he's not playing well.
Yeah, do you feel like we would need to bring in another striker though? If Delap, let's touch wood, there's no wood. But anyway, if he gets injured, I'm very superstitious as you can tell. If Delap did get injured, do you feel that we need a backup striker ready?
That would be Jackson, yeah. I think 3 strikers, it's difficult. How do you sell that to the person coming in? How do you keep someone like Jackson happy if he's third choice? You either go to a front 2, which I think the manager kind of did touch upon in the press conference that he could do that. In the last game there, we had Neto and Delap kind of as a 2 at times as well. So that was interesting to see. But yeah, you've either got to have a winger that can play up front and someone that's positionally versatile, or if you have those 3, someone at some point is probably going to be unhappy. So it's difficult.
Jackson can play off the left. Yeah, we
saw it, didn't we?
Yeah, we've seen it a few times. I'm not convinced Maresca sees him as that type of player.
Yeah.
In all
Do
honesty.
you?
I think he can do a job. I don't see him being a starter out there. I think there may well be a role to play with injury, suspension, potentially cup game. That might throw itself into that. But no, I think we're looking at a player that's going direct shootout with Delap. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, someone that we speak about a lot is Christopher Nkunku. Of course, he started the game against Tunis with Kiernan Dewsbury Hall as well, someone who we saw in the Conference League. I thought he played brilliantly.
Much better.
Yeah. I think he's got a really good football brain. I don't think he plays enough games for us, and he may never play enough games for us, but I do like him as a footballer, and I think in the Conference League he did particularly well. I thought he'd start in that game. I thought he was really good.
I think he leaves.
Do you reckon?
I think it's probably best for both parties right now. A lot of things haven't gone his way. The injuries clearly have been a huge setback for him. The managerial changes in and around that time, another big change, and plus the emergence of Cole Palmer. I can't make a case. He can't play off the left. He ain't a number 1 striker. He likes to drop into that role, that half turn where he finds that space, and that's where he operated against Tunis. I thought one of the best games I've seen him play. Unfortunately for him, though, it does feel a little too late. But it will catch the eye. Someone's always watching.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking about Kiernan, but equally, I thought Nkunku did play well in that game too. We haven't seen enough of him, have we? And when he has played, it's not been his preferred position. And there's been, like you say, been a lot of things going on with him personally as a player as well, injury-wise.
Yeah.
So what do you make of it? Obviously, starting that game against Tunis, were you impressed by that performance?
It was much better, yeah. I think that is his natural position. He wants to be a connector. He wants to play in between the lines. He wants to kind of be the secondary person in the box, not the main person. You don't ask him to hold up the ball. You don't ask him to play back to goal. He doesn't necessarily want to make those runs out wide like you're seeing from Delap. You just want to have him kind of in the centre of things and using his ability to carry the ball and to link play. And he's good at it. And that's why he was on the cusp of a France squad for the World Cup before obviously the big injury. That's why he was putting up great numbers at Leipzig. He was playing in the front 2, playing as a second striker. But I agree, I don't see a role for him. And at the age he's at, he needs to kick on. He's not going to make that World Cup squad. Look at the players. The amount of talent in that France team, whether it's Dembele, Desiree Doué, Mbappe, Elise, there's just so many options. He's going to struggle to make it playing week in, week out. He's going to have an outstanding season next year wherever he goes. He's not going to be enough game time for him here. With Esteval, I remember coming in as well. Cole Palmer's here. I don't think the game time's there for him.
I think personally for him as well, he's expressed before that he would be open to leaving. So I think maybe it's just for the best for all parties. Shame we didn't get to take that penalty though.
Yeah,
that was agonising, wasn't it?
That was Stonewall. If that was an important moment for us, I would have been a lot angrier than I was because I don't understand how. And then we didn't even get the corner. So I don't know what was going on there. It's crazy.
I've got to ask you, is there a danger that he goes to Manchester United and does really well?
He could do very well wherever he goes because he's got the ability.
But Manchester United, Matisse, how would you feel?
They're nowhere near us. That's in previous season they were nowhere near us. So
I've been here before, right? When
you make a good point. To be fair.
So maybe.
Man United fans, like when we sold the Mata, right? And they said, "Why are you strengthening your rivals?" We sold a Matic.
Yeah.
Why are you strengthening rivals? You should never worry if the player's not right for you. Sell him to whoever's the highest bidder. If he goes to United, good luck to him. Fine. I'm not one of those that's concerned about If he goes and plays, he's a good player, right? We know we know who he is as a player. We just haven't seen enough of it. No, it doesn't bother me where he goes.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to be a human about it, haven't you? And go, right, this is not right for him. If he goes elsewhere, we wish him well, and that's it.
Indeed.
Maybe I'm really boring saying that, but I will. I'll say it. Someone who has been really impressive for me personally is our Josh Achapong. Of course, he played the last game. What do you rate of him? Like, what do you make of him?
Well, he really emerged, didn't he, in the Conference League. There was a couple of games there he played, and he's very versatile, can play midfield as well. We've seen that in the Conference League. He has got bags of energy. Physically, he's a lovely size. He's athletic, good on the ball, can play centre-half, right-back. Roy Ludia played midfield as well. There's a lot to like about this boy. And you think about that right-back area. I think Gusto, last season, I thought he played very well last season, actually, Gusto, because James was injured a lot. Yeah. I wonder whether now Josh is emerging as the potentially understudy to Reece, especially the way we play with those three centre-halves, the inverted full-back. I think he's come on leaps and bounds, and I just wonder whether Gusto might well be the one, eventually, that slips down.
Ooh, bold statement.
For me, I think Josh is quality, and Cobham always produce good defenders. You look at what Mark Gurr, who he's been linked with at the moment. You saw Tomori captain at AC Milan. Livramento, Lewis Hall. We really do produce great defenders. And I think for me, he makes a lot more sense systematically than Gusto for this team. He's able to play centre-back, and he's done that in the academy. You can see by his frame, like you said, his height. And then at right-back, the way he carries the ball, and he steps into the midfield, he's just so talented. And I think for me, if he was playing for like a Bournemouth and he was getting regular game time, we'd be interested in him for 40 million or whatever it is. So I hope we use him next season. I actually think he's overleaped Gusto. He should be overleaping Gusto in this position now, because I think Gusto last season really struggled in this system, whether it was asking him to come into midfield defensively. Even in one of the games in this tournament, he was at fault for a few of the goals on the back post with the aerial side of the game. So I do worry for him a little bit. He was at left back in the last game and he was a bit better, but I think Josh is a top talent, and there's some good teams interested in him as well.
Yeah. Do you think it's a form thing with Gusto, or do you feel like he's just maybe not up to it? Of course, you've said he's played in various positions. So do you think it's form, or what do you reckon?
I think it is a bit down to how the manager used him, I think, at the beginning of the season, in terms of how he was asking him to go into half spaces, go into the 10, go into midfield. Just doesn't seem to suit him. I don't think technically he's as good as Reece James in terms of his passing or his shooting. So I don't really see those areas as something that he'll thrive in. But when he was under Pochettino, he was playing as a right back and he was just overlapping Palmer, and he was just very simple, up and down the touchline, get your crosses in and keep it simple. So, but then defensively, as the season went on, he was getting worse. I think even in the Conference League, he was having a really torrid time in the final when I was out there as well. Yeah. So I just think it's been a struggle. He's definitely talented. He played for France in the last international break as well. So he's got talent, but I think confidence is probably really low as well, because he's been asked to do things that he probably can't do.
Yeah, that's his problem. The season that he had a good played well was under Poch. That was the season before last, and he, I felt, thrived in the fact that Reece James had so many injuries. Yeah. New manager, new system. And now I kind of don't really blame him. It just doesn't suit his game. He's not comfortable coming inside. You mentioned the Conference League final. Wow, and I felt for him there, because that was the only decision that had to be made was take him out that, because it was pretty shocking for him. But Acheampong, lot to like, and playing several different positions. So. Yeah, watch this space.
We certainly will. Confident player as well.
Yeah.
Such a young lad. He's full of confidence.
And physically, and you mentioned the size of him, right? Yeah. In the modern game, so many set pieces can decide games, both defensively and offensively. And I think he'll have a big impact in both boxes as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we like to see, isn't it?
Needed.
Let's talk about our centre-back partnerships. We've seen various variations over the season, but what is your preferred partnership, if you could choose, if there were no other elements to it?
It's really difficult, because I think they're actually all kind of in the same category. I may have said it on the show before, but I feel like they're all very close to each other in ability, whether it's, tossing aerially, we see as quite dominant and quite important for us on set pieces. Chalobah had a really good time when he came back from the loan from Palace, and he's shown what an important player he can be when he's at it. Colwell, I think, kicked on as well, made some big blocks and big defensive clearances at the back end of the season when we was keeping quite a lot of clean sheets. You look at Nottingham Forest, you look at Man United, Tottenham, some really good performance. Even Newcastle went down to 10 men. I thought they hung in, pretty well. It was quite respectable in the end. Badia Shills even improved, a little bit as of late in the Conference League as well. So it's difficult to pick. I'd probably still stick with Colwell, and then who you play next to him. Is it Wesley Fofana as well, who's been out? He's not at the tournament, but we know how good he can be when he's at it. I'd pair Colwell up with Fofana if he's available, or be Tosin or Chalobah on any variation of those three. I don't think anyone's done enough to make it very clear that they're the starting centre back next to Colwell on that right side. But yeah, it's close. It's a close fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like Colwell plus one. The Trev had a great end to the season. In fact, they all did, actually. Defensively, we really did show how stubborn we can be defensively. I think we had the third best defensive record in the league in the end. We're doing something right towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Tosin, and either, for me, Chalobah or Tosin, but Chalobah in built a real good partnership towards the end.
Yeah. Do you think, we have spoken about this before, do you think we need another centre-back, one with experience? Because we have mentioned the lack of experience at the back before.
It's a yes from me. We'll see exactly how, when it looks like with Santos in the middle of the park. I still think, now centre forward aside, I still think the spine of the team, the keeper, centre half, I'd still think maybe another. Depends what happens in the middle of the park. Feels like right now we might have enough, but with Lavia's injury, we know that there's going to be a point that you can't keep relying on the midfield pair to stay fit. Enzo's generally fit, Casado generally fit. I don't think he played every single game. I had a role in every league game last season. At some stage there's going to be an injury or suspension or something like lack of form. Yeah. Maybe one more centre midfielder. I'm not sure we will though. I think Santos might well prove that.
I think goalkeepers is still, for me, there's a cap. I just don't feel comfortable when Sanchez is there, and he had a really good end to the season. He's making some big saves.
But you notice
he went away on the ball.
He went longer though. The risk element, the risk and reward element from his game was eliminated because he didn't play as many of those risky passes. Yeah. There was one against Newcastle that we had a pocket pinch. Other than that, he was going long. And I don't want to go back over old ground, but I did feel a little bit of Jackson's red card was a bit of frustration because the balls are turning into fight ball. I wonder whether there's a little bit of an element of that, but we heard.
Maybe Delap can fight for those a bit better.
There's a little bit more, but he did say, didn't he, Mariska, if Sanchez goes long or kicks it, he won't be in the team.
Yeah.
I definitely noticed there was a change in those short passes from Sanchez, very few of them.
We definitely need a left-back as well. Cucurella he's played all the way to the end of the Euros, won out with Spain, the whole Premier League season, Nations League, and now this competition as well, and he's got no deputy at this Club World Cup. That's an out-and-out left-back, left-footer. So that position needs rectifying. Left wing is probably need two players out there, and then the striker situation is still maybe a question mark as well.
Yeah, I mean, Cucurella looked absolutely knackered the other night. I mean, the heat as well doesn't help, does it? He is such a workhorse,
and the long hair.
There you go.
That's heavy.
Big factor.
I'd look at trimming it.
We'll put that in the suggestion box, shall we?
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Let's go back to goalkeepers then. Before the Club World Cup, we were linked to Mike Mignon of AC Milan. It seems Maresca wants to buy a number one and doesn't want to rely on who we've got. Are you pleased about that? I know you mentioned keepers before, but do you feel like Maresca is right in the fact that we do need a number one keeper now?
Yeah, I think he is. There was a lot of errors leading to goals and chances last season with Sanchez, even though save percentage-wise he did really well. He's a good shot stopper. Still very up and down with the cross collection. Sometimes it can be one hand that just pushes it away. I feel like that goalkeeper, that was a great opportunity to bring him in. France's number one, captain of AC Milan, discounted price, leadership skills, good on the ball.
Experience, old. I say old, he's not old.
Yeah, for a goalkeeper, he's not. He's still in his late 20s. For a goalkeeper, he's still got 5 years minimum at the top level, you'd assume. I just feel like that was a great opportunity to get some smart business done and kind of put that position, the doubt to kind of rest. And then Petrovic doesn't go on to the Club World Cup either. And that was a surprise because he had a great season at Strasbourg, probably the best keeper in France last year. And he not even being registered in the squad and knowing that release clause is there is concerning as well, because I still think there should be some competition or some, we have a bit of rotation there, at least in this tournament, to see who kind of takes the mantle. we haven't done that. So, yeah, I was disappointed that deal didn't go through. I don't know if it doesn't look like we'll go back in for him. I think it's difficult to know what the manager wants because 1 minute Chelsea say that he wants a new goalkeeper, then they'll put out that they trust all of the goalkeepers, and then one of the goalkeepers don't get registered. So I have no idea what's going on in that goalkeeping position, to be honest.
Yeah, Petrovic leaves. I don't see a world in which he can stay now after not going to the Club World Cup. Bettinelli, of course, moved on.
Man City,
You know, young boy Penders, the Belgian boy. You know, I don't know what his role is going to be, but I can't help but think the fact that we spent time trying to get Maignan from Milan, that we are not going to go back in for another goalkeeper. That's how it feels right now. But I think Petrovic is almost certainly to leave. I believe he's asked. There's a release clause, like £25 million. So that won't be a difficult deal to do. But we'll need a replacement. And I don't think we can go in and have a backup goalkeeper. Going back to Mike Maignan, I wonder whether the club might go back in for him in January because he'll be on a free then.
Yeah.
Maybe they're thinking down that route. Why are we going to pay 20 million now, 25 million now, when we can get him for nothing next year? That potentially could be going through their mind.
Yeah, well, they want Penders back, but he doesn't want to go. So that's an interesting kind of scenario in itself, isn't it?
I think he'll go on loan, Penders. I think unless Jorgensen's sold, I'd assume he's still the second choice, and he did play, obviously, at the Club World Cup, Jorgensen, in the last game. So that tells me that Penders is obviously third choice and probably needs to go out on loan to get regular game time so he can develop. So
question then, if we don't go for Maignan until January, is Sanchez starting in goal?
Well, certainly.
Absolutely,
Yeah, well, certainly.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, you know, we've covered this ground. The mistakes have been made. I think he in goalkeeping terms in the Premier League, I think led to more mistakes or more goals through mistakes, and that can't continue. Go back to what I said. I found it really interesting that he kept going longer.
Yeah.
Those passes into short, into midfield, or playing balls out wide was generally where he gave the ball away. That was really reduced because of how he went about that with the ball at his feet. Like you said, maybe we've got a centre forward up there now with, you know, Delap, who physically can be.
Yeah.
So then, you know, we might see us go a bit. I think we can mix it about anyway.
Yeah.
I think too many teams play one style of football, play one. Mix it about. There's nothing wrong at times going long.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you say, he takes things on board, doesn't he? And I feel towards like later stages of the season, I was more composed with him between the sticks, and there was less anxiety. And
yeah, you made the point. Made a couple of big saves.
Exactly. He saved. I've said this to other people. He saved a lot of points this season. Yes, he may have lost a couple of points here and there, but you've got to think about the bigger picture as well.
I think ultimately,
unbelievable saves at crucial points.
But ultimately, the question is going to be, can we improve that area, right?
Yeah.
And I think the general consensus opinion is, yes, we probably can.
Yeah.
And I think there's your answer.
Yeah, but I think if we stick with him till January, at the very least, we back him as a keeper, and we know that he's improving. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Good. When I'm in that Matthew Harding lower stand, I will be applauding him every single game. Let's talk about Kepa then. Of course, he's gone to Arsenal to be their number 2 behind Raya. They've released the £5 million release clause. What do you think about that, Jace? And he's off the books now. I feel like he's been on the books for ages.
He was always going to leave. His wages were huge. The new owners, the structure of the club now is to get rid of the high earners. Even though they were part of that with Raheem Sterling, he still needs to go. Ben Chilwell will be another one. You know, I wish him all the best. You know, very similar. He had a frailty in his game, shots from distance. You know, it turned into a little bit of a joke at times how many shots from distance would find their way in the back of the net.
He can't get any taller,
Jace. No, you're right. He's done very well at Bournemouth from what I can see. Look, as a backup goalkeeper, I think it's perfectly good business for Arsenal. I mean, really good business. He's not, you know, we've seen underwhelming. We made the most expensive goalkeeper in the world ever. Yeah. And he never lived up. That's a big price tag to live up to, but never really did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a very small transfer fee, so I don't think it's a big deal for Arsenal. I think maybe that means that they're saving money for other positions to put more money down on a forward, which is what they really need. Then fair enough. But it is good to just get someone off our books that is not really part of the plan. And we've got so many players we need to sell. I mean, we're talking about centre backs. Disasi's another one that was on loan last year. What's going to happen with Renato Vega? He wasn't in the squad.
Yeah, true.
There's so many players we have to move on, and the quicker we move on, the better. Because I just want to shrink the squad down to what we know we need and then leave it at that, because we've been having bloated squads for what feels like about 3 or 4 years now.
Very much so. Those changing rooms need to be bigger, don't they?
Yeah.
And people actually made a joke about that, didn't they? Was that Graham Potter?
I think so, yeah.
God, that was about 10 years ago, wasn't it?
That was a few managers ago, wasn't it?
Honestly, this club ages me, it really does. Let's talk about other transfers then. Jamie Gittins, deal is reportedly done. Does it make sense, Matisse?
Systematically, we play with our wingers really high and wide, and that's exactly where he plays. And this season he showed it at Dortmund, because in the first batch of games under the previous manager, he was playing high and wide and he was contributing with goals. It's where most of his kind of contributions came from. And then as soon as they moved to a different system with the 3-4-3, which we used to play, he was kind of asked to be a tucked in inside forward. He struggled, and he's not playing much at the Club World Cup at all in this new system. So for Dortmund, they don't really need him from a tactics standpoint. The players already agreed personal terms with us as well. And the fee is rising, and that would probably be my concern, is I don't think he's worth what we're probably going to end up paying for him. Mm-hmm. He's still, he's still young, he's still quite raw. He's a really good dribbler, really improving in his shooting, I would say. Like, he takes quite a lot of shots, and he doesn't really mind if it doesn't make a lot of sense to necessarily take that shot. He's still going to take it, and he hits it quite well. He's very physical as well. So I think Premier League football, there's no doubt physically he's going to be able to, stand the test of time. I would just say, in terms of the contrast, he's definitely not anything like Sancho in terms of the link-up or the weight of pass and creating through that. I think he's more of a wants to carry it, wants to dribble, wants to, make those runs. I think he's a talent to a degree, but I always put the question mark: how many more of these potential players do we need? We don't really have any guarantees in that front line in terms of, this is how many goals I know you can get. This is how much chances I know you can create. And it I wouldn't be comfortable with having him by himself, not having any competition or anyone to kind of keep him on his toes.
Yeah. I mean, we do have a history of buying players and they're not Premier League proven. They come to the Premier League and it's, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
Which is why buying Delap was very refreshing, because we know what he can do and he's showing that already. But going back to Gittins, do you think there is this concern that he's not Premier League proven and we are just buying potential again?
I think there has to be a concern. I've seen a lot of those players. That left area is an area that needs some serious attention, because the Mudryk situation, we don't know how long he's going to get. I'm hearing minimum 2 years, so devastating for him and the club. Sancho has gone back from being on loan. Noni actually solved a problem from Resca last season, because it wasn't until the back end of the season did Noni start to first play out there. It felt it was going to be Neto or Sancho on that left-hand side. Eventually put Noni out there. I thought Noni was outstanding for us. Yeah. But really, and then you get Neto in what I believe is his best position. So that left is definitely an issue. And we've been linked with a number of players out there. Not seen a huge amount of him, but a number of clubs are after him.
Yeah,
popular. And I think that probably tells you there's a player in there somewhere.
Which means we're probably going to pay a lot for him, aren't we?
Yeah. Bayern Munich coming in is probably going to push that price up. And when you look at maybe more proven players on that left-hand side that you want to be linked to, whether it's Barcola or it's Rodrigo at Real Madrid, who doesn't seem to be moving, Nico Williams seems to be going to Barcelona. That kind of category of winger there's not really any options now, so it is becoming the potential players that are hopefully going to develop and kick on. Yeah,
exactly. Someone that has been linked to us, we've been talking about this guy for a while, is Garnacho. Do you want him?
Whenever I watch Garnacho, especially at Man United, with how poor they've been in recent seasons, there's a lot more space to run into him behind now. They're not really respected as much as a team. When I see him face those low blocks, I don't see good enough decision making. I don't see really good enough dribbling, and his shooting it's up and down. It's wayward. It can be great, it can be bad. I don't see a player there for me that is going to change the course of Chelsea's season enough to be spending serious money for him as well. And then, like you said, off the pitch, there's way too many questions.
If you're bringing some baggage, you've got to bring someone else to the party as well.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know whether there's enough. I'm not quite sure there's enough for me to say, right, listen, whatever you've got there, footballers can be difficult creatures to look after at times.
Yes.
If you're playing well and you're giving us something so much more, I might be able to take it. I'm not convinced that there's the balance isn't quite right.
The baggage isn't enough, is it, Joe?
Don't feel like it.
Matisse, someone else we've been linked with is Lyon winger Malik Fofana. What do you think of him? Would you like to see him at Chelsea?
Well, Lyon have been relegated. And that poses a problem for them financially. I think there could be a bargain here.
Yeah.
He's another player that absolutely is, again, there's potential. But again, would I feel comfortable making him the absolute out-and-out starter at Chelsea? No. But if he was to come in with Gittins, then at least you've got two young players competing for the position that out-and-out know how to play that left wing. Even Madueke, when he goes out there, sometimes he's good, sometimes he looks uncomfortable. So you can tell he's better on the right. Esteval's better on the right. Quenda, Portuguese under-21 international, who's coming in 2026, better on the right. So I would almost go and get two, and he would be one of them. I like him. He's electric. Played some Europa League football last year. Man United, we're maybe looking at Turkey. Basel, Rangers, we're looking at Turkey. But then you see this kid on the left-hand side who's so electric, so quick, very nimble. I think he's different to our wingers in terms of the way that he plays. He's got a little bit more swagger about his game, I feel, which I like to see in a winger. But one thing that impresses me the most is he's both-footed. Like, he might be a little bit stronger in his left, but he really does not mind using his right as well. Takes shots with both feet, crosses with both feet. Just really fun player to watch. But again, he's only young. I think he's 20 years old or something. So you've got to be careful with these players not to put too much pressure on them. So I think if you're bringing in two 20-year-olds in Gittins and Fofana, then at least they can both kind of share the workload on that side, at least.
Yeah. I feel like you're his agent, by the way. That was a cracking speech.
No, listen, he's Belgium and he's from League One. You know what I mean? Like, we have history, and Leon as well. You know, we've got history. But no, I do like him. He looks good.
Esteval, of course. You know, we might be playing him.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, that may well turn out. I know that we're all very excited about him, but he's another one of those wingers out there that might take a bit of time to get up to pace in the Premier League.
Yeah. Let's go back to them. We have asked this question before, but let's see what your thoughts are now. Matisse, I don't think you were here when we asked before.
Okay.
So, if you could choose one player to bring in, and the guys, you said Liam Delap before, congratulations, deal done, well done. Thanks for that. But Matisse, if you could bring in a player, one player, who would it be? And why?
Does this have to be realistic?
Who are you after?
I'm going to get your mom. I think I'd get the keeper.
Yeah.
I think I'd get the keeper. Because that's realistic as well. We were really in for him in terms of at least the speculation and the bids were there. I do feel like the bid was almost a bit disrespectful how low it was, the valuation. Because
and then we up it slightly.
Yeah, and then it felt a little bit like a game. We up it slightly. Were they ever going to accept that? It seems like an easy enough deal to do. You know, AC Milan are selling players. They're out of Europe. And I just feel like if you get that done, our defence, like you said, third best in the league. I don't know if we're going to get another centre-back because we've got a lot of centre-backs. Mamadou Sarr was on the bench. Encimino from Argentina is on the bench there in this Club World Cup. But at least if you get the keeper, I feel like it just gives the whole defence a bit of a boost and there's less nerves and less, worries about what's going to happen next. So I'd probably get the keeper and then whatever happens with the attack happens.
Yeah,
agree with that. Yeah, the goalkeeping situation. The fact that we're in for a goalkeeper and it never happened tells you all you need to know. Haven't quite got that man yet.
Yes, no, definitely. Because you mentioned a centre-back before, didn't you? Is there anyone on your radar at the minute?
No, I just think you mentioned about the kind of, what does he feel and look like, that centre-half? It feels and looks like a John Terry at 27, 28, or Thiago Silva coming in and doing that job, that kind of centre-half. I'm not convinced that we're going to go down that route. I don't see the wages. When you buy experience, you can't not pay for it. I think that's another reason why potentially we don't go down that route with the new owners.
Yeah. Well, we will see what happens. Let's go back to the Club World Cup. Last 16, we played Benfica, we avoided Bayern. Who do you want to see in the starting lineup?
I think he'll play his strongest team,
He has to,
He shuffled his pack. I mean, Dewsbury Hall played and Nkunku played. I think you'll go with as close to the strongest team as you possibly can. I like the fact that he went the route he did because the team he had should win, and we've done it. In the end, we've done it quite comfortably.
Yeah.
I think at this stage, knockout football. You can't be messing around with this. I think we'll go strong.
The side of the draw we're on, respect to all teams, but it is favourable if we take it seriously. There's definitely a way of getting to the semi-final, and then it's anyone's game from there. So I would go with the strongest team as well. I think obviously Delap is 100% starting because of the situation, so we don't have to worry about that.
Put your bets on.
Yeah.
So The only question I'd have is left wing, you know, and Cucurella, how is he? Because that side doesn't have anybody natural out there to play that's comfortable. And then the left back is really, I feel, we're almost playing with the devil here in terms of his fitness, because I've seen it with Saka at Arsenal, I've seen it with Rodri at Man City. Someone seems durable until they're not, and they crash. So that's the flank I'm really worried about. But yeah, apart from that, I'm looking forward to a strong
starts
team.
there. I think Noni, Delap,
probably, yeah.
and Neto. I think that's
most
probably
likely.
going to be it, right?
Yeah, I would say so. So we're beating Benfica, yes?
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, I mean, look, like you said, respectful.
I want to be respectful.
Respectful teams, you know.
Flamengo game really humble.
Yeah, we saw against Flamengo. Actually, we are, you know, we do have frailties at times. I don't think we played particularly well at all in that game. But for the sake of the conversation, yes, but respect them because they, you know, there's a reason why they are where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And final question, can we win the Club World Cup?
Not sure we can.
That's that then?
No, look.
We've got an easier route to the semi-final, right?
I mean, whenever I answer a question like this, I always think to myself, what happened back in 2012? Yeah, we played Barcelona, right? Went down at 10 men, and then we played Bayern in their backyard, and we won. But do I think we win it back then? That was probably the least I ever fancied us winning the Champions League. Season before, I felt players at the peak of their powers. I'm never going to say never, but if you want me honestly and cut me open, I just think there are better teams in there than us right now. Having said that, PSG have already been beaten. You know, there's some teams out there. Only City are the team with a 100% record at the moment. So we meet them in the semi-finals. Who knows? But look, let's get past Benfica, right? And we'll have that conversation.
One game at a time.
I hate to sound like a manager, but I definitely feel like one game at a time. Because do you know what? It's not even just about the technical side, because I think, like you said, Man City, if we was to get that far, Pep versus Maresca, he knows him very well, both of them, and they've brought in a lot of players. You know, you can see there's a lot of new players there that are, whether it's Ryan Cherky, you know, there's guys getting opportunities, and there's a lot of competition. Oscar Bob's back. It's dangerous. Mamouche, Haaland. So that's a team that's going to be in the title race for me again this season. But my main concern is, one, I don't think we did enough in the window prior to the tournament to actually get the keeper, get the left winger, just to balance out the team and say, right, we really are trying to win it, but also the conditions. The Brazilian sides who we could have in the quarterfinal have shown that we know how to play in these conditions and you guys don't. And the heat and the intensity drop off in comparison to them with us is big. So I don't even think we might be a better technical team, but endurance and all of that, I'm not sure if we can do it.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
I mean, I get sweaty just watching those games. And that's where we're going to end the show. OK, that's it for a special episode of Inside Chelsea. Thank you very much for your company. And thanks to Jason and Matisse. We will see you next time.
Up the Chelsea.